right, with God, right? There's a few things that he's dealing with here that just God does not change. His word doesn't change. We dealt with that. So today we're going to continue on dealing with, we're going to finish up dealing with the power which will enable you to finish your course with joy. So that's what Kelly Varner is dealing with. That power does not change. So I'm just going to, just to get us back on track, just hit these scriptures real quick. Psalms 138:8 says, "The Lord will accomplish that which concerns me. Your unwavering loving kindness, O Lord, endures forever. Do not abandon the works of your hands." Right? He doesn't abandon what he started. Right? God is a finisher. Philippians 1:6, "I am convinced and confident of this very thing, that he who has begun a good work in you will continue." Right? He will continue to perfect and complete it until the day of Christ Jesus, the time of his return. Right, so we dealt with that last week. So this week we're going to jump into Jeremiah. I'm going to start with Jeremiah here, 29 and 11. It says, "For I know the plans and thoughts that I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for peace and well-being and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." Sounds like a great security blanket, right? Wow, there's a lot of people here today. I didn't even notice that until I looked up. That's good, though. It sounds like a great security blanket, doesn't it? Right? Right? God has a plan for me. That is good. So clearly the suffering and the issues I'm dealing with are going to end soon, right? And my flourishing is going to start. We love that, right? Because he's got a good plan for us. But if you really read that scripture, and you read the story and the context behind the scripture, it's not really what he's talking about. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. Right? Because it doesn't really mean what we think it does, right? The heart of the verse is not that we would escape our lots, but that we would learn to thrive in the midst of it. Right? Because these Israelites wanted to get the heck out of where God put them. You ever been in that situation where you want to get the heck out of where God has placed you? Right? But his whole plan and purpose is that he wants you to thrive where he has put you. And we've got to get that in our minds and in our hearts, actually. It's got to start in the mind, and then it's got to go into your heart. That he wants you to thrive where he has placed you. He hasn't placed you in a place to take you out of it. He's placed you in a place to bring you through. And it's the same with these people. You want the mic ready?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you stretching back there? Go ahead. You can take it.
I don't want to do this, but really, I really believe what happens here. Now, I can be wrong. But I really believe what you just said. You said it's in our mind and it's got to get into our heart. I think we got to reverse it. I think it's dropped into our heart, into our spirit already. Now it's got to accumulate up into our mind. Because where is our...
True, yeah. That's true.
This is what we got to deal with, right?
Yep.
It's in our heart.
Yep.
The heart is stable. If you can get that heart stable, God has stabled your heart with his spirit. And now it's got to be, we're not convincing our mind. We got to yield our mind so that the heart of God can rule our mind. Now, I could be wrong, but that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Because if not, we read the Bible. There's a lot of people who get out of Dodge, as you would say, early. But David, he thought he was getting out of Dodge, didn't he? And guess what? Getting out of Dodge, God still dealt with him. Because why? Because he had a heart after God.
Can I add to that? What Pastor just said. The heart is stable. because the Bible doesn't say anything about having a double-minded heart. It's right. Okay, it's a double-minded. It's not. There's no instability in the heart. It's in the mind. You're either hot or you're cold.
So here's some of the context for Jeremiah 29. So the Israelites were in exile. We know that, right? A punishment from God as a result of their disobedience. Prophet Jeremiah comes, right, and confronts the false prophet Hananiah, who had boldly proclaimed that God was going to free Israel from Babylon in 2 years. We know that that's not the case, right? So Jeremiah calls out the lie and then states the promise that I just read. God indeed does have a good plan for them, right? And it is a plan that will give them hope and a prospering future. So that sounds great, doesn't it? So according to Strong's Concordance, the word prosper only appears in the New Testament 4 times in 3 verses. In the Greek, it's the Greek word, for anybody out there following along, G2137, which means to grant a prosperous and expeditious journey, to lead by a direct and easy way, to grant a successful issue, to cause to prosper. Right? So in this context, God has placed them in this place, and his promise to them was that he would help bring them through and not pull them out. Right? We're all in these places or situations that make us uncomfortable, or places where we don't want to be. Right? Aren't we? I mean, I'm sure we could all raise our hand and say one place where we don't like where we are right now in our walk with the Lord, but he's dealing with us and he's getting us through. Like, I don't like where I work. I actually miss where I used to work. It was so much better, relaxing place, but I'm now in this awful area of Springfield where it's just nonstop craziness. But God has put me there for a reason, right? And that's really the only thing that's helped get me through it, knowing that I'm there for a purpose, because I should have just stayed where I was. It was so much easier and just so much better. I was working at a resort. I turned it into a resort. It was like my paradise. The place ran itself. The place ran itself. So now he's got me in the midst of this chaotic place, but guess who brings the peace to that place, right? And that's the whole point. It's the whole point. God will put you somewhere for you to bring the peace in the midst of that craziness. Yeah. No, it's all good.
You got to think about what he just said about being in a place of chaos, or how chaotic it is. And it's only the God that's in him that brings peace to the situation. It's that peace of God that surpasses all understanding. I don't understand the whole situation. This is third person. You know, the whole chaoticness going around us, or what have you, but yet there's a peace of God that dwells within you that can calm that storm, that, you know, other people can look and say, man, I don't know how he keeps it together in this situation.
Yeah, so just before he shares the promise, right, just a few verses earlier, he gives them the directive from God to seek the peace and the prosperity of the city to which I've carried you into exile. Right? Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper. Right? Another indication that he's not going to put you somewhere just to pull you out. Right? He put you there for a purpose. But that's not what they wanted to hear, right? Because that's sometimes my mindset, like, hey, get me out of here. No, I placed you there for a reason. That's not what you want to hear, right? Whoever wants to hear that, you're going through a situation for a reason. Does that make you feel good? Like, do you really want to hear that? It's such a cliche thing to say. You know, you're going through this battle or whatever you're dealing with for a reason. That's kind of what he's saying here. He's got you there for a reason, because you're going to help make this place prosper. Because if it prospers, you're going to prosper.
Isn't that right, Danny?
God's dealing with my walk. Yeah, he's telling me one step at a time.
Once,
That's how I'm looking at it. Just let's not search too deep.
yeah.
Hey, Dan, I meant working in a business with 3 Christians, and the business was blessed because of us. That's what I meant, not your
That's
walk.
true.
I
If I
wasn't
can
talking about your
throw
walk.
one thing out, now that you mentioned work, the first thought that came to my mind was, I don't know how many times Pastor Dale would say to me, yeah, you work in a country club. I'm thinking to myself, that country club blocked my arteries. I could go into the
Oh my gosh.
Not the kind of country club I want to work at. That's all right. God took me through it.
But it's so true. Like, and I didn't want to even talk about work because it's true. I was at a country club working right down the road over here, and he stuck me in this dark place. But the place I went to, honestly, I don't want to talk numbers or metrics, but that store was the laughing stock of our district, and now it's one of the top performing stores we have. So, and I'm not saying that to boast, but I'm just saying that God will use you to do something, right?
Brother Ed, it's not a boast if you're boasting in the Lord, because it's the Lord doing it.
Yeah, no,
The
it's
Lord
true.
uses the vessel,
True.
and you're the willing vessel, even though sometimes you're
Yeah.
like, I don't know what I'm doing here sometimes.
That's true. Yep. But that's what he wants us to do, isn't it? Where he places you, he wants you to set a standard there. Because when you set the standard, that thing will prosper. And if that thing prospers, what happens to you? You get blessed in return, and you become prosperous as well. That's how it works, doesn't it?
Very quickly here, 'cause I really don't want to talk about work.
Brother Dan,
Ronnie will
Hey, disclaimer, if you don't work anymore, you can't talk about work.
Ronnie
No, I'm
will
just kidding.
attest to this.
Since we left, since we left, did you ever see a bad trade? A chart of a bad trade? It's like
No.
this. Yeah. Brian left, I left, Ronnie left. That shop is in big trouble right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, I'll take that real quick. Because we laugh and we joke and we talk about our jobs, but that's where we are. That's where God put you. Why can't we talk about our jobs? I remember the day after Brother Danny had left. It took me almost 2 years to get to the point I knew in my heart what God was saying. And this goes right along with putting you in places where God, we want to take the path of least resistance. We don't want to go in the path that is directly towards the fire. I will avoid it, you will avoid it at all cost. That's our humanistic nature. I remember sitting in the car during my break. I put my seat back and I put my feet up on the dashboard and I just closed my eyes, and I remember hearing the word Ichabod in my heart and in my spirit. And I remember the story of Pastor Dale saying the word Ichabod when it was time for him to go. And I said, okay, God, it's been 2 years now. I've been trying to get out of here. I tried every job. I applied for every position within the company because I wanted my security. I applied for every job outside of the company, and I was overqualified for everything. Every door closed. I even went to the warehouse next door. I was even going to take a pay cut just to get out of where I was until the word Ichabod showed up in my heart. God has left this place. 3 of us have left now. And exactly what he's talking about. If you can look at a chart, there's 4 other guys that have already quit also. It is just downhill because God has left that place. It's here.
Yeah, so they wanted to be told that they were going to go home, right? They didn't want to be in that place that they were put, right? They wanted to be told their suffering was going to end, right? Instead, God's plan for them was to what? Stay right where they were and to help prosper that nation, right? So God puts you right where he wants you,
Like it or not.
like it or not, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
He could put you in the middle of a war zone, right? But because he's placed you there, you could be the peace in that place, like I just said. Right? So we just have to realize he's got a plan and purpose for every one of us. And I can guarantee you the plan that he has for you is different than what your mind thinks it's supposed to be. And that's what messes it up.
I mean, God places us in all places, but I've sat here for 30-something years and seen how I've seen God place people in this house, and they've been dissatisfied and left. That's the most spiritual thing going. Where has God placed you? And exactly what you said. He never places you where you think you feel comfortable. He places you in the body. Has it what? Has it what? Oh, it doesn't please me. I don't like it here. That isn't what the word says. What are we going to go by? Huh? That's the most important thing. That's more important than our jobs or anything, because God has a plan. And if we'd all realize his plan never fails, and whatsoever he said he's going to do, he will surely bring it to pass. And for all of us, we can rejoice that he's put us in that plan.
Yeah.
So what do you say about that? Amen. What?
Yep.
Amen. Where's Kara?
Right? Do you want to be a part of his plan, or do you want to remove yourself from his plan? Right? You don't want to remove yourself from his plan. And then in verse 10, it says, God said that he would fulfill this after 70 years are completed. So they were thinking 2. Or think about that. 2 years is not that long. You'd be like, all right, we can deal with this for 2 years. Then we'll get out of here and go back to where we want to go. God said, no, it's going to be 70. So a lot of those people were not going to go back to where they wanted to go because of the age. So think of that. What kind of blow was that to their mindset right there? The best growth that we can have comes through persevering through trials and not trying to escape them early. Right? Because that's what God is doing, right? He's trying to grow our character because of the situation he's placed us in. And if you try to escape that prematurely, your character is not going to develop the way he wants it to. And that's how we learn perseverance, right? And then when you get that perseverance, what happens? Because it said he's got good plans for you, right? You're going to overcome these things with joy. So when you persevere, that actually brings joy. Because when you get through something, that makes your spirit happy, doesn't it? We always want that quick escape, though. I'll raise my hand. There's been times I want to get the heck out of here. Like, why do some churches preach the rapture? Like, what is the whole point? Why did he put you here just to take you out? Right, exactly. Yep.
Can I say something about the rapture?
I'm going to give you this mic. You can come here.
Let me tell you, I was first born again in a church that believed in the rapture. And guess what? It was a church of holiness. We didn't live the way we do today. We lived in fear that if there'd be any moment coming and God would rapture us out and we were not ready, we wouldn't be. So there was a fear in our heart to live according to God's purpose. Today, it's so different. We've taken off the restraint of holiness and we walk in our own ways. And God's saying, maybe sometimes we need to go back to believing in the rapture. If God came today, are you ready to meet him? Oh, we don't preach that message. I forgot. This is the 21st century. I know it. And
I don't believe in the rapture, but I believe in being caught up to him. He's not going to join anything with him that is not holy. No. He said, holiness is unto the Lord.
and
But I believe today he's really, he's searching the hearts of every one of us. Check your own temperature. Kara, hallelujah.
Such a delay with that one there.
You started it.
and this is the Lord just gave me this because I was frustrated with some stuff yesterday, but he gave me something. He's giving it all out. I didn't even realize it until just a little bit ago. This other part I realized before, but at my house, and the Lord had shown me outside my apartment, right outside in the hallway, he gave me peace. And I didn't realize that there was peace there. But someplace I went yesterday, I was struggling with this all night long, and I just realized it. He was giving me, he said, there's peace in the midst of the situation I was in. Is peace. I said, oh my God, I would never have thought that, but that's what he showed me just now.
Yeah, so we're all currently going through something, right? We all are. We're all dealing with some issues one way or the other. Some greater, some not as great. But we just got to realize that, like, he's got you where he wants you, and that he's going to help get you through it. He's not going to pull you out of it. He's going to help get you through it. Yep. 1 Corinthians 12:18. But now as things really are, God has placed and arranged the parts in the body, each one of them just as he willed and saw fit with the best balance of function. Right, so think about that. He's put us he's placed you where he wants you because he's created a balance. Right? And once one person doesn't believe that and they do their own thing, that balance gets out of whack. Right? God has set you in the body just as he pleased. He did it sovereignly. Right? He's placed you right where he wants you. That doesn't just mean the church, but where you live, where you work. Got another hand back there. Right? But we've got to realize that. We have a purpose and a function exactly where you are.
It's our attitude in the midst of everything. Because I was frustrated yesterday, and then I was talking to someone on the phone, and right after I got off the phone, I got it. He gave it to me, your attitude. I'm like, oh my God. So he's trying to change us.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, like the day and age we live in, the moment something makes us uncomfortable or something that isn't pleasing anymore, we want to bail. Like that's jobs, that's school, church, that's the restaurant you're at. You don't like it for a certain reason. You're like, I'm never going to go back. There's just these little things. Whenever you feel you're uncomfortable, you're going to go to the next place that's going to satisfy you. But you're always going to find something that doesn't make you comfortable.
And that's what they're teaching these children in school. There's no responsibility, no nothing. If
Yeah.
you don't like it, just don't worry about it.
Go to the next thing. Yep.
So guess what? When they get to be adults, what's going to happen?
But just like the Israelites we just read about, right? They wanted to bail, but they couldn't. That wasn't part of the plan. Right? But if you really understand, right, God's purpose and function of his kingdom, you realize he's got you exactly where he wants you. Right? And that's what brings that peace I was talking about last week. When you realize he's got you exactly where he wants you, that should bring peace. Peace to your body, peace to your heart, to your mind. There shouldn't be a battle going on. It's like, God, all right, what are we going through? What are you bringing me through today, God? Instead of, oh, God, what do I have to deal with today? No, God, what are you going to bring me through today? That should be the mindset that we have. Right? Because he's put us here for such a time as this. There's no other day like today. Right? And he wants you what? To overcome. and to prosper in the midst of whatever the situation is happening around you. Right? He didn't stick you somewhere to have you fail, did he? No. You're not on. You're not on.
I hear that he wants us to be confident in him in every trial that you go through. I know when I went to Ed this week, I had confidence in him no matter what was happening with him. Because God was there with me. And he was going through he was, at Psalm 91, he said he's there to get us through. And he got me, Ed, through it. And I was confident in him that he was going to get us through it, no matter what it looked like or how I felt, you know. So that's where I'm trying to be, where I'm confident. I told Kara, I said, I'm thankful for God. I said, all the trials that I've been with Ed, God's always been there for me, always. And I don't have, I had confidence in the doctors and nurses, but the one that I had confidence in is him, because he's the one that makes things happen. Like when I called for prayer, Jane, and I laid my hands on Ed, I knew God was there with him. You know, I had confidence in God, and I pray that I keep doing it.
Great. You got to have that confidence knowing that he's gonna get you through.
Right.
Yep. Because if you just focus on him pulling you out, you're gonna be upset because it's not gonna work out that way. He's not gonna pull you out of your situation. Your situation will probably get worse because of your mindset. Oh God, why didn't you pull me out? When he's like, no, I'm trying to pull you through.
What if he pulls us through in a different way than we think?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he usually does, right? It usually never ends the way we thought it was gonna, does it?
But sometimes we're thinking it's going to be good at the end of that, but it's not really what you expect.
Yep. Yeah, but you can, down the road, look back at this situation and say, God, you were there.
What happened?
Yeah.
This isn't how I expected it. Yep. What do I do?
Yep.
Count it all joy?
Count it all joy. All joy. Not certain things, all things, right?
That's true life. Let's not kid ourselves.
So I was reading this too. Like the world has this mindset called the consumer mindset, right? The consumer mindset is a mindset that causes you to think that you can choose or do whatever you want to do, right? And that has crept into to believers, right? We've got to stop with the consumer mindset because we like to shop, don't we? Some of us like to shop more than others. Right, but you can't do it with certain things. Like you can't shop where you wanna worship the Lord because He's placed you where He wants you for a reason. Right? Or if the food doesn't taste good, we're gonna go over here. I'm not gonna go back over there. I'm talking about spiritual food. Doesn't taste the way I want it to taste, so I'm gonna go to this place and try some of their food. Eventually, that food over there is gonna not taste as good as you want it to taste either. And the issue is we think that everybody up here, not just this place, I'm sorry, not just this house, I'm just saying anybody that's got a mic anywhere, we think they're perfect. There's only one perfect pastor out there, and that was Jesus, right? He's placed us imperfect people down here to preach His word, right? So we're going to continue to look for that perfect person, and we're not going to find them. There's only one. And that's the issue we have. We're always looking for that perfect preacher when there isn't one. There's just one. It's just Jesus.
Brother Ed, you know why? He's teaching us forgiveness.
Yeah. Right? Yep. Yep. Another thing, too, is we just have to get to that point where we say, I'm part of the body, and I'm not just a spectator. Right? I'm not just evaluating, because that's what spectators do, right? I'm not judging, right? It's true, though. Because if you're actually part of the body and you're functioning with the body, you're not a spectator. Because that's what spectators do. Spectators judge things. They look at how things are working. And that's not what God wants. He said it earlier. I placed you where I want you for a purpose. You've got a job. You have a function.
I like it when God asks me my opinion. Sits in the heavens and laughs.
You're even higher above than Sister Irene.
Remember that.
It's funny. But think about it. He set you where he set you where you are for a reason, because it's to change you. It's to change your character. Right? Because if we leave the hard place and go to the easy place, is that going to build character? No. It's actually going to reduce your character. But it's the exact same thing he's dealing with back here in Jeremiah. They're there for a reason. He's trying to change their character, trying to cause them to grow. Because when they grow, they're going to prosper. He's also planted you where you are, right? He planted them where they were. Why? So the roots would go deeper and deeper. If you keep pulling the plant out of the ground and moving it around, those roots are never going to grow.
Are we talking about Jeremiah's day?
I was going to say that that's the mindset of the world right now. It doesn't include roots anymore.
Okay, you said he plants them in the body as it pleases him.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Jeremiah's day, the Bible said that he did all that for our learning, so we can learn from it. Some of us are, I'm slow.
All right, so yeah, let's wrap this up here. So he's placed you where he wants you. He's placed these people where he wanted them. Why? To mature them, to refine them, and to help strengthen them. He does the same with us today. Right? He's placed you where he has for three things: to make you mature, to grow up, to refine you, and to strengthen you. That's what he does in the midst of the situation, circumstance that you're dealing with. Let's move on. Kelly Varner starts dealing with faith in the next aspect of his book here. Just going to read Hebrews 11. 11. I'm going to start. He wants verse 6, but I'm going to build to verse 6 and start in verse 1. So Hebrews 11 starts with the definition of faith. Right? Now, faith is the assurance, substance, right? Just as our physical eyesight is the sense that gives us evidence of the material world, faith is the sense that gives us evidence of the invisible spiritual world. True? Title deed, confirmation of things hoped for, divinely guaranteed in the evidence of things not seen. The conviction of their reality faith comprehends as fact what cannot be experienced by the physical senses. So if you have something before you, you can see it, right? There's no use for faith there. If I can see you sitting there, I believe you're there. Are you there? Is that you, Ron? Okay. Right, so faith is needed for what we can't see and can't touch. We know that. But faith enabled people in the past to overcome. That is the key point. Faith enabled people in the past to overcome. That still stands true today. Right? We tend to forget that same faith that they had back 2,000 years ago is the same, it's still here today. Right? So that faith will continue to help us overcome and to continue to help us overcome. Verse 2, for by this kind of faith, right? The Amplified says, for this kind of faith, because there's different faiths out there, different levels of faith. You've got to have a certain level of faith to get to where these people are. For by this kind of faith, the men of old gained divine approval. Right? That faith helps to encourage us. It's kind of like a good testimony. We just actually shared some stuff. That was kind of our testimony. You know, a couple days ago, we came in here and we shared our testimony. There was a lot of faith behind what people said because they had to believe for that testimony to come to pass. By faith, that is, with an inherent trust and enduring confidence in the power, wisdom, and goodness of God, we understand that the worlds, universe, ages were framed and created, formed, put in order, and equipped for their intended purpose by the Word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things which are visible. Right? So this puts a close to the Big Bang theory that the world is out there trying to get people to believe. Right? Because this place was made out of something that you couldn't see. Right? They believe that the world was made out of things which is visible, which it wasn't. Huh? You got any tape back there? No, nothing. No. Did not. By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which it was testified of him that he was righteous, upright, and right standing with God. And God testified by accepting his gifts. Right? So Abel's sacrifice was preferred to his brother for one reason only, because it was sanctified by his faith. And though he died, yet through this act of faith, he still speaks. So think about that. It says, though he died, he's not in this realm anymore. He is still alive elsewhere, and he's still talking. So proof there is more than just this realm that we're living in right now. Because it wouldn't have said he, right? It wouldn't say he still speaks if that wasn't the case. Verse 5, by faith that pleased God, Enoch was, right? We can say we have faith, but it's got to be a faith that pleases him. Enoch was caught up and taken to heaven so that he would not have a glimpse of death, and he was not found because God had taken him. For even before he was taken to heaven, he received the testimony, still on record, that he had walked with God and pleased him. I just wish there was so much more about Enoch, because it would be really cool to just learn so much more about him, because there isn't a ton in the Bible about him. But that's when you have to believe, right? He gave you just enough to wonder into what did this guy really do? Because I think if he gave you the answer, you might not believe it. Yep. So Enoch fulfilled the purpose for which man was created. Verse 6, but without faith it is impossible to walk with God and please him, for whoever comes near to God must necessarily, the Amplified uses the word necessarily, believe that God exists and that he rewards those who earnestly and diligently seek him.
What was that about the necessarily thing? Can you just repeat that? I'm sorry.
Let's see. For whoever comes near to God must necessarily believe that God exists and that he rewards those who earnestly and diligently seeks him. So this is the basic faith required of anyone who seeks God. Let's see. The writer of Hebrews didn't say that it is difficult to please God without faith. He said it is impossible to please God without faith. Think of that. And we could just go on and on with this chapter, but that was all Kelly Varner had, and I didn't want to continue on with that one. Just going to read what he has in here. We have come to a critical moment where all we have for our support and stay in is his unchanging word. Like we say this all the time. He wrote this how many years ago? It's still so true today. right? The only thing that we have that's going to help support and keep us is his word that unchanges. That's what we dealt with a few weeks ago. His immutable promise is brought to life by his grace, our enough for these critical times. His kingdom has come, and we do not get a vote. That's what Kelly Varner has. His kingdom has come, and we don't get a vote. The present season upon the church is not for the half-hearted or double-minded. As one has said, the just shall live by faith, and they shall die by doubt. Right? Doubt will kill you.
Every time.
Every time. It's going to kill you. Thankfully, the Christian-centric paradigm is being restored to the church. Our focus is shifting from individual to corporate anointing, from a man-centered message to the Christ-centered gospel. I'm going to end with this, and this is we're going to continue next week, because this is what he says. Don't delay his purpose. I am so good at delaying things because I feel like I am not ready for it. When you delay his purpose in your life, it gets you in trouble. Right? You take the long way around and you miss the path he has set you on. You miss the timing of the Lord because you think your timing is better. So don't delay his purpose. So important. He's got a purpose for what he wants to do. And I need to stop delaying it because of my thoughts, my mindset. Right? Pastor, you're so right. The heart's all right. It's up here that's messed up. Because this is what changes the plan. Because anybody ever do that? You just sit there and think, and you make these plans up here, and they don't align with his plans. And that's what starts delaying his purpose in your life. Right? And that's when everything starts falling apart. So we will end on that and pick up next week.